Gyeon Wet Coat, considered by many to be the class leader when it comes to spray and rinse sealants. But can GTechniq steal that crown with their Hydrocoat? Find out right here, right now. Hello and welcome back to the Golf Diaries. My name's Mark, and if you're into all things VW and detailing, then hopefully you've come to the right place. Now, back at the end of April, it's now June, I was approached by Ultimate Finish, and they asked me if I wanted to test out a product, and I was very intrigued, and thank you very much to Ultimate Finish for thinking of me. And so I said, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to try out a new product. And they sent me this, GTechniq Hydrocoat. I was intrigued. Now, before I go any further, I must just very quickly add that I am in no way affiliated with Ultimate Finish or with GTechniq. They kindly sent me the product to try for free, so I didn't pay for this. But they haven't had a chance to see this before it's come live on YouTube. So everything you hear and see here will be my honest thoughts, my honest opinions, and my honest findings on this over the past 3 months. So what is GTechniq Hydrocoat? Well, quite simply, it's a spray and rinse sealant a la Gyeon Wet Coat, and a plethora of other spray and rinse sealants out there on the market. Plethora, that's a cool word. Hey, I've got it switched on today, coming out with the fancy words. Anyway, it's the wet coat comparison that is most of interest to me because I've been a long time Gyeon Wet Coat user, big fan of the product. So I was really interested to see how this would compare with what is the market leader and considered by some to be the best in class. So yeah, over the last 3 months, I've been testing it in quite some depth on a variety of cars, and I'll go into all that in the coming few minutes, as well as finishing with a complete comparison with Gyeon Wet Coat and which one of the two I'll continue to buy in the future. Hydrocoat is designed to be a part of your regular wash routine, a way of topping up your existing sealant, whether that's a ceramic coating, a sealant, a wax, whatever it is. You can use this over a wax if you so wish. Just a way of topping up and adding some extra durability to the underlying LSP. You can use this as a standalone, absolutely. And GTechniq claim that you will get about 3 minutes, not 3 minutes, that wouldn't be very impressive, would it? 3 months durability. Oh man. Anyway, 3 months durability is the claim, and that it is also very dirt repellent and very hydrophobic, both on paint and glass. So let's see. Applying the product is dead easy. You just use it on a cool surface. Once you've washed the vehicle, you simply spray some of this on, a panel at a time, very sparingly, and then wash off with a pressure washer, dry as normal. Job done. A bit like this. So that's the product summary and a quick intro as to how you apply it, but how does it perform? That's what really matters. And also, how does it compare to Wet Coat? So let's start with looks. Very subjective, I know, but I have found Hydrocoat to be very glossy. In fact, probably slightly glossier than Wet Coat, but it's marginal. It's very, very marginal. However, I have found with Hydrocoat, the gloss tends to last a little bit longer than Wet Coat, because in my experience, Wet Coat's very glossy when you first put it on, but it tends to die off pretty quickly. Hydrocoat seems to just hang on to that gloss a little bit longer. So, but as I say, it's marginal, and looks are in the eyes of the beholder. Crikey, someone married me, so clearly looks are in the eyes of the beholder. Let's not go there. Moving on. As for ease of application, well, to be honest, there's absolutely nothing in it. It is incredibly easy to apply, as you have seen. You can whip around the car in seconds. That's no exaggeration. So there's nothing really to choose between this, Wet Coat, and various other products that are on the market in this sector. Now, in terms of durability, that's where this gets really interesting. So, I know some of you have been waiting for this review for some time, and the reason it's taken so long, I mean, I got this product at the end of April prior to launch. The reason it's taken so long is I've been waiting for it to die off. It has done an incredibly good job with the durability. So I've tested it on 4 different cars. So I've tested it on my Defender, I've tested it on my Edition 40, which you saw me applying it on a second ago, and on the Daily Driver TT. There's a full video of the TT coming, so if you're a bit of a TT fan, it's a particularly nice TT, I've got to say. So yeah, that will be coming in a couple of weeks. But yeah, that's been the Daily Driver. And then I've also used it on a family member's red Golf GTI, which featured in the original application video, which I'll link to down below. So going back to the TT, the Daily Driver, I applied this that very first week I got it. I put a YouTube short on at the time showing me applying it and the water behavior at the time. Yeah, I mean, that's a car that does, believe it or not, between 700 and 1,000 miles a week. And that's on a combination of country roads, main roads, motorways, etc. Tends to get washed once every 2 weeks, or, you know, when it gets particularly dirty, whichever sooner, but normally once every 2 weeks, using a pH neutral shampoo. In this case, Autoglans Pure is the one I tend to use on the TT. And for the purpose of this test, I didn't want to kind of extend the durability of this by putting on any quick detailers or anything like that that's going to put another sacrificial layer on top. So there was no drying aids. I just dried it really, really carefully. Yeah, this is kind of what I found. So here's some footage of the TT that I took quite hastily one morning using my iPhone. So forgive me if the quality isn't up to the normal standard, but yeah, you can see it's clinging on. Now this is after 3 months. So this was literally the other day. So the product had been on there for about 3 months at this point. It's clinging on, it's well on its way out, you can see that, but it's, you know, this is a heavily used car. Now, Wet Coat, I applied some when we first bought the car, which was prior to obviously putting the Hydrocoat on, and 6 weeks later it was dead. It had gone, and 6 weeks is kind of what I get to expect from Wet Coat certainly on the Daily Driver. On cars that are used and washed slightly less, then it will last longer, of course. But yeah, 6 weeks is kind of what I get out of Gyeon Wet Coat normally. You know, I know some people do get more, but it's the same usage, you know, similar weather conditions, same wash technique, although I did use a quick detailer as a drying aid with that Wet Coat application on the TT initially, and as I said, it died off after 6 weeks. So durability wise, Hydrocoat is a clear winner over Wet Coat, and I have to say 3 months, or almost 3 months, I'll be honest, if I wasn't doing this test, I probably would have topped it up before it got to that level of kind of fading. But I probably would have done it around the 2 to 2.5 months. But that's still better than I'm getting out of other products in this sector. So yeah, I'm really, really impressed with the durability. Now, the other thing I have to say, now Wet Coat, it kind of prides itself on the fact it has like a self-cleaning ability. I don't really like that phrase, it doesn't self-clean at all, but it just helps keep the car cleaner for longer. So self-cleaning. Now, I have to say, I find the Hydrocoat slightly better at it. It sounds like I'm coming out with all these superlatives, but genuinely, I found that the cars stay cleaner for longer. The Defender, with lots of big flat panels, we're surrounded by trees. It's where the crows live. If you've been a member of following the channel for a while, you know I have an issue with the crows. Well, they live in the trees that surround our house. Now, as a result of that, this time of year in the summer and spring, we get a lot of pollen, and that just layers over everything. Now, the Defender, with all those big flat panels, normally is yellow with pollen. But this year, yes, the pollen landed on it, but a little bit of breeze and it just blew off. It's very, very slick, the finish that Hydrocoat leaves, and it is quite dirt repellent. The TT, with all those miles, when we get the odd shower and the country roads around here are absolutely filthy, the dirty water does roll off really, really quickly. So I have to say, from keeping the car cleaner for longer and for durability, Hydrocoat's the winner. What does that mean moving forward then? Well, that means this is a very good product. And to be fair, this is a very good product. But in terms of which one I'm going to be buying going forward, I don't think you'll be hugely surprised to know I'm now in the GTechniq camp. I never thought the day would come that I'm going to part companies with this. There's a tiny little bit left in there. When it's gone, and I'll be replacing with this. If you can actually find stock of this anywhere. At time of recording, a lot of retailers are currently out of stock, including GTechniq UK. So hopefully that'll be put right soon. And by the time you see this video, there could be plenty out there again. But definitely, if you're in the market for a spray and rinse sealant, either of these two will do a fantastic job. You know, if you haven't tried Wet Coat, by all means try it. It's a really, really good product. It's a classic. It's the kind of product that started this spray and rinse, you know, to set it on its way to become such a big sector, and it's this that I'm sure these guys were aiming at when they came up with this in the first place. So, you know, credit to this. If you haven't tried it, give it a go. But for me, this is the new king. This is what I'm going to be using going forward. Now, in terms of, one of the things I should have said, in terms of not only is it more durable, but it's also slightly better value for money. Don't get me wrong, it's not cheap. 500ml is £12.95 compared to £15 for this. So not a huge difference, but it is a little bit cheaper. If you want to buy 5 litres, then you can't buy this in 5 litres. You can buy it in 4 litres. Now, if you buy that in 4 litres, that's £72. If you buy that in 5 litres, it's £77. Now, obviously, given the durability that I've just gone into, that's 5 litres is going to last you a lot longer than that 4 litres for £5 extra. However, don't go rushing out and spend, I don't think anyone's going to rush out and spend £77, but anyway, don't be doing it anyway, for the simple reason this does have a shelf life once opened of 12 months. And there is absolutely no way on earth, unless you're working in the trade or you've got an absolute fleet of cars, that you're going to get through 5 litres of that in 12 months. So, you know, I would personally stay with the 500ml. If you've got 1 or 2 cars, that's going to last you a very long time. You don't use a lot. It's very sparing in application. So that will last you years for £12.95. Yeah, you know, I'm a convert. GTechniq Hydrocoat, that's the way forward. And on that bombshell, the day has come when Wet Coat is going to be dropped from my arsenal. Never thought I'd see the day. So on that bombshell, I'll leave you for now. So stay safe, take care, and see you soon.